Good afternoon. My name is Emily Angel. I'm the president of the class of 2018, and I'm honored and excited to welcome you to the annual Veterans Day Luncheon here at Northbridge High School. We host this event every year as a token of our gratitude and appreciation for all that you have done for us. The sacrifices you've made to ensure our freedom do not go unnoticed, and we eternally honor your bravery. We venerate and have a massive amount of respect for each of you and are honored to have you here with us today. We will create digital stories after we interview you and record your responses to create a memoir of your experiences, leaving a lasting legacy of your story. Your stories allow us to understand aspects of our country's system which we are unfamiliar with, and allow us to have empathy for the brave soldiers of our nation by hearing firsthand accounts of your experiences. We greatly appreciate your time with us today as we look up to all of you, the backbone of our nation, and will always remember getting to know you during this incredible event. Once again, thank you and welcome to the Veterans Day Luncheon. At this time, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose breast stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, give proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
If someone has done military service, they earn the title veteran and more. They earn our deep respect and admiration. That they are special, no one can ignore. They sacrifice the comforts we enjoy. The list is long of all the things they gave. Our veterans are extraordinary people. They're loyal, dedicated, true, and brave. When terror and invasion were real threats, they showed us they could handle any storm. We owe our freedoms and our very lives to our veterans who served in uniform. Our veterans should be celebrities. They're exceptional, no other group compares. We're grateful for the many things they've done. They're always in our hearts and in our prayers. We owe our veterans support and friendship. Let no one ever question what they're worth. These men and women served us and our country. Our veterans, the very best on earth.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Verdun. I'm the Director of Music here at Northbridge High School. I would like to thank Mrs. Guerin, Mrs. Bentley, and Mrs. Dion for letting the Enharmonics and the concert band be part of this great afternoon. The concert band will be performing Bob Loden's Armed Forces Salute. This features all 5 service songs from all 5 of the different branches of military. So when you hear your branch's service song, we ask you to please rise and be recognized. For the students in attendance, if you have a family member who is currently serving and couldn't be with us today, we'd like you to stand to be recognized for the fact that they couldn't be here today. So again, when you hear your service song, please stand. United States Army. United States Coast Guard. The United States Marines. The United States Air Force. The United States Navy.
Thank you, Mr. Rodone. It was excellent. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Matthew Riley. I'm a teacher here at the high school, my last year. I've gone to these often, and every now and then they ask me if I'll speak to try to bring perspective. I kind of like the fact now that we've moved this into April, so we don't confuse those who died in our service with those who served in our service. I'm going to start off a little solemnly here, a little history lesson. Today is the 155th anniversary of the end of the Battle of Shiloh. Up to that point, it was the most horrendous battle fought on American soil. 3,482 killed in action. Today is, or yesterday, was the 100th anniversary of the United States entering officially the war to end all wars, World War I. 116,516 casualties, deaths due to combat and disease. Don't forget the flu of 1918. With that, I'm now going to move into something a little bit more humorous. I'm famous for my stories. A lot of my students ask me to tell them certain stories. I always make sure that they try to fit in the curriculum. Some of them are about my time in Vietnam. Vietnam was so absurd that a lot of times the only thing I want to remember is the funny stuff. So I'm going to start. August 1st, 1972. I woke up around 05:15, got a shower, put on my utilities, did not take my flak jacket or helmet because, well, we hadn't been hit with rockets in a while, and I had a letter I had to mail to my house, to my home. I usually sent two letters, one to my father, which went through the postman who worked with my father at the post office, and the other one to my mother. So my mother wouldn't realize some of the stuff that was going on because she'd freak out. That included some of the funny stuff. So I had this letter. That's all I had, a letter. And I was walking by the NCO club at Benoit when I suddenly heard a couple of thumps and a whoosh over my head, and a 122 millimeter rocket blew up between two barracks. And I bent down real quick, and when I stood up, all I had left of the letter was the corner in my fingers. The whole side of the NCO club was just riddled with shrapnel. So that's not the funny part. I then ran into a Binjo ditch, which, if anybody's been in Japan, is an open storage ditch for cover. But then I realized that the Binjo ditch was going in the same direction as the rockets were coming, so it wasn't a lot of protection. And I was sitting there, and an Air Force guy jumped in, and then the siren went off, and he got angry because they turned the siren on. Now, after a couple of rockets hit, and I says, well, it's not like somebody sitting there going, I think we're going to get a rocket attack. Let's turn the siren on. So we're sitting there completely mesmerized because they had them pretty much zeroed in on the runway and the taxiway. And we had a series of revetments that most of our aircraft were parked in. We had A4 Skyhawks, scooters. And I remember looking down at the flight line, and it was like something out of a movie, you know, the sparks flying from the 122s going off. And suddenly it dawned on me that there was a guy standing on top of one of the revetments, right there in front of God and Country. And he had his hands up like this. And it dawned on me, he was taking pictures. He was trying to time the shutter just as a rocket would blow up on the flight line. And I noticed from his girth, because Marines are pretty well known, not this one, not anymore, but of being so much slim and trim, this guy was not the slimmest and trimmest of our squadron. His name was Myers. We used to jokingly call him Baby Huey. He could swallow 7 hot dogs in about a minute and a half. I mean, this guy was a hot dog vacuum. And he didn't seem to be the brightest light in the chandelier. Obviously, he's standing on a revetment right in the middle of a rocket attack trying to take pictures. So the Air Force guy's looking and says, who the heck is that? I says, I know exactly who that is, and I'm not telling you. And he goes, okay, but what do you think he's trying to do? I says, I think he's trying to take pictures. So we got about 122 rockets on that thing, and I came back down to the flight line after the all clear. And Myers was standing there white as a sheet. And I says, Myers, was that you up on top of the revetment? And he goes, yeah. And I says, what were you doing? And he says, trying to take a picture. And I says, with what? And he holds up this Instamatic camera, this Kodak Instamatic camera. And I looked at it and I says, you know, those pictures aren't going to come out. And he goes, how come? I turned and I pointed the lens at him, and there was a diamond-shaped piece of shrapnel from a 122 that went right through the lens into the camera. I says, you are one lucky guy. And he goes, yeah. And I says, how do you feel? He says, oh, a little nervous. I says, yeah. What do you want to do now? You think maybe you ought to talk to the maintenance officer and go back to the barracks and maybe take a nap? And he goes, no, I'm kind of hungry. So he went to the mess hall. He had 5 eggs, more bacon than I've ever seen in my entire life, and French toast. And then he came back down to work. He was our hydraulics mech. And we started to think that, you know, if Myers can get through this without getting killed, anybody can if we're smart. The cap of this little story, about 3 years ago, my unit had a mini reunion. There's 2 groups of people that do reunions. John Glenn was supposed to go to this one because he was in VMF 311 in Korea. At the time when I was in Vietnam, I was in VMA 311. They turned to an attack squadron, Tomcats. And who was there at the mini reunion in Pennsylvania but Myers? And I almost didn't recognize him because I'm now the guy who's put on the girth. I can't still eat that many hot dogs in one sitting, but you know, I put the weight on. Myers was slim and trim. He had a nice, like, 3-piece suit. I walked up to him and I said, Myers? And he goes, yeah, Riley. And I'm going, yeah, how are you? He says, fine, fine. And he introduced me to his wife and showed me pictures of his children and his grandchildren. And I looked at him and I said, so Myers, what do you do? He says, well, you know, I really lucked out. He says, I went to college after I got out of the Marine Corps, and I took a test, and I went to medical school, and now I'm a doctor. I says, a doctor? He goes, yeah, I'm a doctor, I'm an orthopedist. And I says, holy cow. And the thing that really made me think about this story was this morning on the radio, they were talking about the doctors who make the most money in this world. They're the orthopedics. Talk about dumb luck. I tell you. So, you know, there's hope for everybody. I am proud of my service. I don't know if I'd ever do it again, if I had the opportunity, but I'm glad I did it when I did it and for who I did it. And the thing is you have to understand that most vets realize you don't know who we are. But we don't know you either. And we're still putting our lives on the line. And vets serve after they've served. A lot of vets still do public programs. They go to help other people. They work in certain things like Homes for Humanity and a bunch of other things. These vets keep giving. So once in a while, just shake a hand and say thanks. Thank you.
He's not going anywhere. I'm not letting him finish yet. No. For those who don't know, I'm James Breon. I'm the treasurer of the class of 2018. And Mr. Riley, since this is your last year, in recognition of all you've done as far as service and being role models to us as students, as a small token of our appreciation, the class of 2018 is prepared to make a $150 donation to the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society in your name. Thank you so much.
And now the poem, The Noble and the Brave, by Joanna Burgess. When America had urgent need, these brave ones raised a hand. No hesitation held them back. They were proud to take a stand. They left their friends and family. They gave up normal life. To serve their country and their God, they plowed into the strife. They fought for freedom and for peace on strange and foreign shores. Some lost new friends, some lost their lives in long and brutal wars. Other veterans answered a call to support the ones who fought. Their country had requirements for the essential skills they brought. We sought every one of them, the noble and the brave, the ones still with us here today, and the ones who rest in a grave. So here's to our country's heroes. They're cut above the rest. Let's give the honor that is due to our country's very best. Thank you.
Beautiful for station.
Bishop. I'm the acting principal here at Northbridge High School. I think what we're doing here today is so important that we never forget. We get so wrapped up in our day-to-day activities, our lives, our cell phones, we forget the sacrifices that the men and women of our armed services have made so that we can do this. And it's so important for the young students in this building to see this, recognize this, and be part of this. I do want to take a moment and recognize the 5 staff members who are veterans: Mr. Riley, Mr. Monahan, Mr. Gaddis, Miss Willis, and Miss McKinstry. They too will share their stories today at lunch. I also really want to take one fast moment and thank the 3 staff members in the junior class, Miss Dion, Miss Bentley, and Miss Guerin. They put a lot of work into this, and on behalf of the students and staff of Northbridge High School, I want to thank all of the veterans who are here with us today, and we hope you have an enjoyable afternoon with us. Thank you.
Okay, and that was just a welcome. So now for lunch and sharing your experiences. Some of you, you're here with a family member, you see your table number in the program. You just report to that table. These students are waiting on you. Give them your lunch ticket, they'll go to the front of the line, they'll get your pasta, salad. Meat is on the side if you're having the option of not having meatballs today. And if you're meeting your students for the first time, actually that's some of my favorite experiences. Students coming out of their comfort zone, asking questions. When you look around this room at the cap in about half an hour, I mean, it's just going to be laughing, and it's such a great experience. And I'll see you upstairs. Thanks for coming.